What is reality? Reality is what we believe to be true about the nature of our surroundings. But how do we come to decide that true nature? Do we conceive it completely on our own? Or do other devices gently sway our thoughts onto a pre-decided path? This is the hard question we must all ask ourselves as free humans on this planet. New sculpts your reality.
Reality. Hey guys, Wednesday night, time for your reality brief. We got a smash up guest tonight, Dan. You're not gonna believe this. We got a UFO and researcher and experiencer from the Turner Triangle.
It's in central Maine, right?
Yeah. So that's gonna be pretty interesting. We do though. Guest's not coming on until 8:30, guys. If you guys are looking to directly see him, 8:30. So, with the attack today, man. So there's an attack. You guys could not have you could not have missed this. There's an attack on the baseball game in Northern Virginia, the Senator baseball game, right?
Yeah. What's it? They're representatives. They weren't senators. It was a representative who was shot.
So there was actually several people shot.
Yeah, but I mean, like of the government officials that got shot. But yeah, it was a bunch of people, and turned out that everyone would expect an attack like this to, be on one side of the political spectrum, and turned out it wasn't. So I thought that was kind of ironic.
Yeah, there's the. He said the guy was yelling, "Are you Republicans and Democrats? Yeah, man, like there's some kind of a difference."
I know, right?
So, I mean, it begs the question, man. It begs the question. What is the deal with this? Is this just the guy that was just... I mean, because at this point, for real, this type of stuff could be happening naturally without any type of intelligence agency kind of shooing it along. I mean, people are fed up, man.
Well, I think, since this election, you've seen this country kind of get hyper-polarized, and it's really sad that there are this many people that still buy into this polarizing us versus them nonsense, when really it's just them versus you.
Mm-hmm. Pretty obvious. So, I was listening to the radio on the way home, and the one guy was talking about his courageous acts of hiding. So, apparently, the Capitol Police took the guy down. A couple of them got hit. Yeah,
the guy's dead. And then CNN was apparently misreporting the thing. Even after everybody knew that he was dead, they were like, oh, well, they have this guy in custody. And House Majority Whip Steve Scalise was shot in the hip.
So, I mean, it is kind of a...
5 people reportedly injured.
It is kind of a strange thing now that it's coming from the left. Because before, it's always been the right. Now, I mean, Gabby Gifford, man. Yeah. And that guy was just a lunatic. I don't think he was even coming from any kind of political slant.
They said that he was a Democrat. They said that he'd voted Democrat in the past. So, I mean, you can only kind of go off people based on their voting record.
I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind with this is like Gabby Gifford's 2.0.
Yeah, which, I really wish I could see a picture of the guy's face, because I could tell you right off the jump if he's got MK Ultra eyes or not.
Oh, boy. So, also in the news this week, yesterday, I guess it happened, today even, the building on fire in London.
Yeah, how come it didn't collapse? You got to wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it was raging inferno and it didn't collapse into a neat little pile of, let me sweep this away real quick. But we got a message from from a listener in the UK, and I think she might be onto something here, so we're going to have to check into this at a later date. Okay, so... A London Tower block, council estate block, reduced price housing for working class or unemployed disabled people. Burned up at 1 this morning. Someone got through the Victoria Derbyshire program and gave some pretty good reasoning why this may have not been an accident, but a plot to get poor people out to make room for further gentrification. You hear that?
So they just burned it down just so they could take the property, which, I mean, that's like Trump-level imminent domain abuse, but no, I digress.
All right, so it's called Grenfell Tower in Kensington, right? Mm-hmm. They've been talking all morning about this £10 million refurbishment to the outside of the building. applying cosmetic cladding all over to make it match an academy next door. 10 million pounds. And on the inside, according to the witnesses, the elevators are broken and would have cost 60,000 pounds to fix. So it's starting to look like the cladding made the fire spread more quickly. So they they decorated this building to gentrify it, you know what I mean, to make it match the school next door, and it actually accelerated the fire. She said,
City of Virginia Beach likes this.
so I haven't verified the elevator issue. It was a witness quote. In case of fire signs in the building, advise that if there's a fire not affecting your own flat, close all doors and windows. Roll up a wet towel and put it under your door. And wait for your doom. Oh my God, man. Do they really advise them people to roll up? That sounds like, remember the chemical attack stuff?
It seems plastic. Like a very British approach. Keep calm and carry on.
Oh, man. So when these people are rehomed, they will be offered a place in Edinburgh on the worst council estate in the UK. Due to the amount of people they will need to rehome, they may not give them a chance to refuse and wait for another offer. It's being seen by some as a way to get the riffraff out of Kensington and make room for more expensive places. Man, you know, sounds legit to me, man. This sounds like some serious normal MO.
Yeah,
and,
if you want to...
I don't know if you guys can hear this, but they're coming for us.
Yep. The black helicopters have been dispatched. Mm-hmm. It's happening. Happening level over 9,000.
We want to thank American Frank for that. Appreciate the tidbit. Little heads up. And, you know, I watched a video of this building burning, man. It was just, it was going, dude. And it's just... So who's getting the insurance claim on that, I guess?
Probably
what it's going to boil down to. So, guys, earlier the week, I reposted something that Matt Wade posted in an emotionally charged state. And, you know, it seems to be uncertain what's going on here at Free Radio. So, you know, but I don't want you guys to worry, because if you're listening to us, you'll still get to listen to us, because no matter what happens, we'll still find a way to do a broadcast for you. So don't worry there.
The brief's not going anywhere.
Unfortunately, if you would like to see the rest of the station, stick around. You might consider getting involved in some way, giving a hand or whatever. But I digress. So, yeah, don't worry about it, guys. Everything will be all right in the end. We're still trying to figure out what exactly is the dealio. So earlier today, I had this thing come across. It was a newly alleged leaked MJ-12 document. Right, so I didn't get to peruse the entire thing here. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you. But, So this is a briefing put together for Bush 1, right? This is his briefing on MJ-12. And in here, it gives a history of MJ-12, a breakdown of Roswell, and also a breakdown of another crash in Aztec. I couldn't make out the type. It's kind of smudgy. And then they said they got a live alien at the second site at the second crash in 48, and they have transcriptions of an interrogation in there. So it's pretty interesting. Now, this came from Heather Wade from Midnight in the Desert, and I really don't know how she got a hold of it or what, but I do know it's in the process of being authenticated. By who, I don't know. Is it really authentic? The thing with this, for me, I think, is it's for Bush 1, right? So Bush 1 was head of the CIA in the 76, 77, something like that, yeah, 75 maybe.
Late 70s.
You would think he would already know about this. You think they would have the director of the CIA compartmentalized out of MJ-12?
Well, actually, I think that's very possible.
Well, the thing about
it is, the president's not the president. What if the director of the CIA is not really the director of the CIA?
I mean, I understand that, but also in here, they give a list of clearance identifications. It says from MJ12, where it came from, that this is ultra top secret. And then it gives a list like Navy intelligence, CIA, NSA, and all the different classifications in each particular branch of the intelligence apparatus. So, I mean, it was floating around in the company. You know what I mean? Now, MJ12, according to this document, is a separate entity under the control, direct control, and only the control of the president, put in place by an executive order by Eisenhower. A secret executive order.
Makes sense.
According to this document. Now, whether it's real or not, I don't know. If you want to check it out, hop on over to the Reality Brief Exopolitics and Conspiracy Facebook group. It's in there somewhere. Or you could do a search for Heather Wade, Midnight in the Desert. That's supposedly where this originated from. So, you know, I'm not saying it's authentic, but it's definitely interesting and worth taking a look at. You got anything on that, Dave?
Nope, not really.
So what's on the news, man?
Well, let's see. We've got quite a few things this week. Let's see, the articles on hacking the human brain from Wall Street Journal.
Check it out.
And we talk about a lot of transhumanist themes on this show a lot. The possibility of, you know, using technology to rise above the limitations of our biology. And I thought this was pretty cool. A future of everything, a hardware update for the human brain. This is by Christopher Mims from Wall Street Journal talking about... you know, it's funny because we played all these cyberpunk role-playing games growing up, like Shadowrun and whatnot, and, you know, Cyberpunk 2020, and now it's looking more and more like this stuff is going to really be an everyday thing. The article leads off with, Emily Borgard has a computer inside her skull, but you wouldn't know it to look at her. A small bump behind her left ear. The only external evidence of her implant is partially covered by a tuft of hair that's still growing from the last time she had the batteries charged. Before Bogard received a brain implant, she was having as many 400 spikes of seizure-like activity a day, along with multiple seizures. This unrelenting storm of abnormal neural activity turned her teenage years into a semi-conscious nightmare. She couldn't drive a car, attend classes, or even be left alone for more than half an hour. People were finding me on the floor, finding me walking around the small college town we lived in, confused and not knowing what was going on, she said. In 2011, at the age of 19, Borgard underwent a radical surgical procedure for drug-resistant epilepsy. Surgeons cut into her skull and implanted a small, self-contained computer that resembles a Zippo lighter in the hippocampus area of her brain. The implant uses a pair of long, hair-thin electrodes to listen for irregular neural activity, which it regulates with a series of pulses. Every 2 days, Borgard holds a small electronic device over her implant, which transmits data to a laptop and then on to NeuroPace, the Mountain View, California company behind the Responsive Neurostimulation System, or RNS, in her head. Her doctor reviews the data to continually assess and adjust her treatment. So, you know, you could argue that the first implants were like peg legs. You know what I mean? Like, that was the beginning of the transhuman movement, was peg legs and hooks for hands. And, you know, now we have real cyborgs like Dick Cheney and, you know... then you even have people like this who are...
programmable, debuggable machines.
Yeah. Well,
that's not human, man.
Well, it's not. It's superhuman almost. If you think about it, this is the beginning.
I mean, so then again,
it's definitely transhuman.
It begs the question: we're getting this now. How many people?
This article.
How many poor souls had this stuck in their head? You know,
without
unwillingly,
a choice.
Yeah, without a choice, like forced upon them by, you know.
Well, the article even mentions our buddies. The largest contributor to neurotech has been DARPA, the research arm of the Department of Defense, which has a long record of pushing scientists and engineers to achieve the seemingly impossible. Wow, that's like saying that DARPA has pushed scientists and engineers to achieve the impossible is like saying that Ted Bundy pushed his girlfriends to achieve levels of romance that they thought impossible. You know what I mean? That's like, it's kind of like saying that, Jeffrey Dahmer brought his friends to levels of culinary excellence. Like, these
so matter what you mean?
No, there's something matter with me. There's something matter with those people at DARPA.
I mean, so this goes directly to what we were talking about last week.
I'm not
with
the one
implants and
chaining
body
people
hacking
up in big
and,
neuro tanks.
You know, making this cool and edgy and trying to get people hooked on convenience, it's not going to be much longer, man. It really isn't. This is the new reality, man.
Well, I was watching. There's this series that came out recently called Year Million, and it's it's one of those future what if kind of shows, and they talk about what's the world going to be like a million years from now, or not necessarily a million years, but the far future. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're already predicting the death of privacy as we know it. At some point you'll live your entire life wired up in the Matrix, and everybody will be able to read your thoughts with direct telepathy. So there'll be no hiding anything from anyone.
Now, the one that you were reading was a hardware update for the human brain, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got this other one here. And this is brain-computer interfaces are coming. Consensual telepathy, anyone? So this one goes on to outline different companies and working with it. And, interestingly enough, Facebook is on there. And what they want to do is make it to where you can just think to your cell phone, and then it types out what you're thinking. What was it, like 300 words a minute or something?
That's crazy. Namely because half of the time I'm typing on Facebook, I'm actually consciously trying to decide, here's what I really want to say, and here's how I'm going to phrase it diplomatically.
To me, the frightening thing about this is you won't be able to be around anyone with a cell phone without it constantly reading your thoughts and feeding it to something.
Wow.
You walk past a computer.
So what
I
happened?
just read your thoughts. You were thinking dirty thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Man. You're like, God.
Fuck with the system. Eat some mushrooms.
Oh my God, dude. This.
Yeah. What happens if somebody's tripping balls and it tries to read their thoughts?
I wonder if it would create like a feedback loop in it.
Well, you remember that movie Strange Days? I'm surprised that technology hasn't come back out yet. Or hasn't come out yet. Memory playback.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm surprised that's already not a thing.
Man, there was something last week. It was about that. They figured out a way they figured out a way to play back memories. Or play back dreams. So, I mean, if they can play back dreams and they can play back memories, I would think, right?
Yeah. Oh, they do not want to play my dreams.
No, I've heard some of them. I don't think they do.
Nah. They have been mostly good ones lately. So, yeah, apparently, Elon Musk is up on this, the thing about consensual telepathy?
Mm-hmm.
Said Elon Musk, chief executive of Tesla and SpaceX, made waves in March when he announced his latest venture, Neuralink, which would design what are called brain-computer interfaces. Initially, BCIs would be used for medical research, but the ultimate goal would be to prevent humans from becoming obsolete by enabling people to merge with AI.
Check this out. Emotive. Unlike some other companies in this burgeoning industry, Emotive actually makes products. Oh, my God. Big words that I cannot pronounce. Electrophenography. Electroencephalography.
That's basically recording your brain activity by putting electrodes on the outside of your head.
Yeah, non-invasively. So here's the beginning of the walking by the cell phone reading your brain. Mm-hmm. So the Facebook thing, they're talking about a neural, implant or whatever. An actual neural. This is like Bluetooth thoughts right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is the beginning of the Bluetooth thoughts, which, interestingly enough, the synthetic telepathy seems like they've already mastered this technology, We're just now getting it. So, Emotive produces software that allows users to visualize their brain activity in 3D, measure their brain fitness, and even control drones, robots, and video games, reported to Daily Dot. The company was selected to be part of the Disney Accelerator program in 2015 with the aim of creating a wearable device for the brain. Finally, DARPA.
You kids are getting brainwashed, huh?
The U.S. Military Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency announced a $60 million program last year to develop an implantable neural interface in collaboration with a consortium of private companies. I wonder who those private companies would be. The project, part of former President Barack Obama's BRAIN initiative, is ambitious. DARPA wants a device that can record 1 million neurons simultaneously and stimulate at least 100,000 neurons in the brain. DARPA also wants the device to be wireless, the size of a nickel, and ready in 4 years, which is an incredibly aggressive deadline, according to MIT Technology Review. So what that means is they're going to walk over there and they're going to hand them, this is how you do it, get it ready in 4 years.
Well, I mean, it takes a while to back engineer Draco Tech, so what do you want?
Potential applications.
Can't rush genius.
Potential applications include compensating for sight or hearing problems because the device could feed digital, auditory, or visual information directly into the brain. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Talking about AR, man. I mean, you see people talking about AR with,
AR. What do you mean AR?
Augmented reality.
Oh, okay.
With, lenses over their eyes.
Yeah, like Google Glass. Or,
you don't even need that if you get it right into your brain.
Yeah, you can skip all that.
The exact technological approach is unclear at this stage, but the project has some heft of major engineering giants such as Qualcomm behind it.
Oh, boy.
Qualcomm
basically makes the processors for like 90% of the cell phones on the planet.
Oh.
They make them for Android. They make them for Apple. They make them for everybody else.
I don't like it.
Yeah, Qualcomm's one of those like big companies that's sort of immune to, the market going one way or the other because it's got game on both sides of the market. So, yeah. But hopefully, if you're going to be a robot slave at some point in the future, then at least they can extend it. We have this other news article. Study AI can predict lifespan of parents by looking at organs. Adelaide, Australia. Scientists from the University of Adelaide have created an AI program that can predict a person's lifespan just by looking at images of their organs. It probably doesn't want to see mine, or at least my lungs. The research recently published by the journal Scientific Reports saw the scientists use an AI program to analyze medical images of 48 patients' chests, accurately measuring whether or not they'd die in the next 5 years with a 69% accuracy. How you feel about that, Don?
I don't like it, man. No, sir, I don't like it.
Let's see. He points to a process the computer undertakes called deep learning, which allows the machine to accurately read images. So, the next stage of the AI's life will involve analyzing tens of thousands of patient images. So now we're going to just go, when the machines turn on us, they'll already know all of our greatest weaknesses. Isn't that comforting?
Yeah, it's so comforting. Yeah, I mean, they've already got everything plotted out. We talked about before. Listen, what they do with your data that you give, check it in here, doing this, doing that, posting your feelings and your emotions here and there, whatever. They feed that all into a computer that makes a profile on you, in which they in turn feed into another computer that simulates how you would act during a specific event. Say, mass civil unrest, and they use that to run simulations across the country, military simulations. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just one thing they do with it. We got Doyon coming on at 8:30, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut to a quick break here, and then we'll be back on as soon as he gets on.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I had another article I wanted to bring up for that time.
Go ahead.
And I think this ties directly into some of our core stuff about how they're using these EM drives and 0 point and Alcubierre and all this warp drive and stuff, or what'll eventually be replicator tech. This is from Futurism.com and Science Alert. And we've talked about this before. Physicists say they've manipulated pure nothingness and observed the fallout. In the quantum vacuum, no one can hear you scream. According to quantum mechanics, a vacuum isn't empty at all. It's filled with quantum energy and particles that blink in and out of existence for a fleeting moment. Strange signals that are known as quantum fluctuations. And for decades, there's only ever been indirect evidence of these fluctuations. But back in 2015, researchers claimed to have detected the theoretical fluctuations directly. And now the same team says they've gone a step further, having manipulated the vacuum itself and detected the changes in these strange signals in the void. So we're entering that territory of high-level physics here, but what's really important in this experiment is that if the results are confirmed, the researchers might have just unlocked a way to observe, probe, and test the quantum realm without interfering in it. What's more, this might put us another step towards, remember how we were talking about how they boiled the vacuum with an electromagnetic field?
Right.
And all the little virtual particles that pop in and out of existence. they hit them with a beam of polarized light, and they go from being temporary particles into permanent particles.
Which could be the basis for some type of replication technology.
Precisely. Or teleportation or any of that
Matter
stuff.
out of thin air, essentially.
Yeah.
If they can figure out how to combine it.
They say this is important to be able to observe a quantum system without changing it, because from what we know now, every time we measure and observe a quantum system, we destroy it, which doesn't bode well when we want to tease out what's really going on in the quantum world. And that's where this quantum vacuum comes into it. They say, let's think of a vacuum in a classical way, a space devoid of matter with the lowest possible energy, no particles, nothing. But a byproduct of the most fundamental principles in quantum mechanics, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, states that there's a limit to how much we can actually know about quantum particles. And as a result, the vacuum isn't really empty. It's actually buzzing with its own strange energy, these little temporary particles of, pairs of particles and antiparticles, and they pop in and pop out. So they first detected these back in the 40s. And then in 2015, they figured that, if you shoot a laser pulse into a vacuum, lasting only a few femtoseconds, like a millionth of a billionth of a second, you can see these subtle changes in the polarization of the light. And it's still being debated, but they say that they've been able to squeeze this vacuum and turn temporary particles into permanent ones. But when that happens, they remove the quantum signature that's left on the photon. So it's no longer a quantum system. And that's what they mean by when we observe it, it destroys it being a quantum system, because the whole idea of if it's a quantum system, something on the very smallest, fabric of reality, then, it could be, it exists as a probability. It could be in any number of locations at a given time. But once you observe it and you know where it is, it's no longer, if it's in one spot, it can't be in those other spots. Right?
And yeah, isn't it also there at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. It's both there and not there, like Schrodinger's cat.
It's the basis of the quantum computing, with the double the amount of calculations.
Right. So if they can learn more using this technique, they'll want to continue to probe the quantum state of light, which is the invisible behavior of light at the quantum level that we're just beginning to understand.
Yeah, I mean, that's once they figure that out, or they let it out and let it be known. I mean, that's gonna just shatter our physics. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna be able to do things that was just impossible, man. No way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Such as
it's the next frontier, man.
Such as making the Kessel Run in 27 minutes.
Teleportation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just endless. We're talking about the replicator technology.
Well, and I have a feeling that, the basis of stuff like that, like warp drive and replicators and, being able to go instantly from one star system to another, blink drive, things like that, it's all, intimately tied together.
Right. Is that all on that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. They talk about quantum entanglement being a major principle of all kinds of things, like remote viewing. Like, how come you can, you know what I mean? Like,
well, if
speak by location.
Well, they say that this entire reality is, a three-dimensional hologram projected out of a four-dimensional reality. And if that's the case, you should be able to access somewhere the data for everything that exists in this reality should be encased in that hologram's programming, right?
Right.
So that's your Akashic Records right there.
Well, right now I want to welcome Doyon onto the show. Don, you there?
I am.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Tonight?
Great.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Thanks for coming on.
I thought you're welcome, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a journey. Before I start, I just want to send out thoughts and prayers to the family and victims of today's tragedy down in your state. Sad that we have to be seeing this type of activity.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely become the new norm.
Now, I would like to say, though, that being down here in Hampton Roads, we typically don't have a whole lot to do with Northern Virginia, and typically kind of wish D.C. would annex them. But, yeah, it is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, terrible tragedy.
So where do you guys want to start tonight?
Well, I figured maybe we could start out if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, like maybe what you do for a living and how you got involved in to what interests you, will turn your interest in the UFOs.
Okay, well, I grew up in Turner. was educated in the school, and from elementary up to about my junior year, I dropped out of high school in Turner. My parents had got a divorce. I went into the working field. I also had the opportunity to go to school with Patrick Dempsey, if you all know him. We were very competitive in elementary school. Let's see, I went into security. From security, I went into printing field and graphic arts.
Hey, nice. I'm a graphic designer.
Yeah, I was running printing presses and so forth. Then I got into the UFOs about, well, I've had a sighting back in '94 with an ex-girlfriend. That was an interesting encounter. Her and her daughter, she noticed it first. This was in Green, Maine in 1994. She noticed a craft in the air going real slow, and she was pretty excited, and the little one there was a little scared. We didn't think nothing of it. We were just always was amazed. And then I would say around 2011 was when we got into it seriously, my friend and I. We took a telescope out to Turner, and one thing led to another, and here we are today.
Yeah, I've seen some of the videos you got.
Yes, and I do. I want a big shout goes out to a lot of people. This journey would have never happened for a lot of family and friends, really, and everybody that's in the ufology. Because I had the experience first and then had to go back and find out what it's all about.
Right.
And so it was very challenging. It was. Still is to this day. I don't have all the answers, but I can definitely confirm some of this stuff that's being talked about in the history, throughout history, everybody that's been involved in it for 70 years, really. So do you want to start off on any of the sightings?
Well, so you said you started you had an experience in the 90s which put you towards investigating this type of thing. And then you said it wasn't until 2011 until you got really involved with another guy and tracking these things down. So what was the first major one that you experienced when you got...
August 6th, 2011 was my first photograph. I believe you have it on tonight's picture you guys posted earlier. You see 4 inverted negatives of the orb that went over our head.
Right.
You and Jason Gleaves, our good friends in the UK. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even be here tonight because I was about ready to throw in the towel.
So were we. We thought the power was going to be out of our studio. We had big storms here in Norfolk.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I'm sorry to get away from the interview, but on our way over here, I was thinking about the whole situation with the show and what happened, how it almost didn't happen. And as we were coming up Granby Street, which is the main street over here, the lights were out. And I was just thinking, oh, man, please let there be power at the studio. But we got here and there's power, so...
It's funny you said that, because today we had no water. A water main broke here on Lisbon Street here in Lewiston. And so, yeah, today we had no water for a good part of the day, but they got it fixed. Yeah, this has been an incredible journey. It truly has.
We were joking about how Darkfleet had resorted to using weather warfare against us.
Oh, there's a subject. Yeah, everything you guys have been talking about for the last couple of weeks, ever since I've been listening, and you bring up some valid points. DARPA, I believe, our technology is pretty advanced. It's probably 50 years beyond what we think we have.
Easily.
Easy, yes.
I read somewhere for every 10 years that goes by, the military-industrial complex advances about 43.
Yeah.
That's an interesting figure.
Oh no.
Yeah, so this has been an incredible journey, and I just have to say thank you to people that's directly involved in my life and indirectly, because this would have never happened. I'm a single parent raising my 10-year-old son, and so a lot of things come together when we adventured out. We don't do it so much now. I pretty much do it when there's a call-in. If I learned anything from this experience over the last 5 or 6 years, it was to show me, because you don't see these guys. You don't. These craft, they're cloaked.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to be seen, they'll be seen. But if they showed me anything, it was the feelings, the energy, and the vibration.
So
If I was taught anything, it was that, the unseen, knowing that they were there without visibly seeing them, I guess would be a better way to put it.
So what do you think is in control of these craft?
In control, I believe.
The ones that you're seeing up there in Maine, anyway.
Right, and and I'll be the first person. I don't have all the answers, but
Right.
I believe we're witnessing craft from visitors from other places and our own technology, our own craft. I believe I'm seeing a mix of both. That's my belief, or my opinion. I'm going to tell you where things went south with MUFON. On Christmas Day, I had 2 sightings. And I reported both sightings, and I reported them a week apart. So the first one I reported to MUFON was the video footage you see playing on my main page at night when I'm in my car.
Right.
The other footage or photograph, I waited a week to report it to MUFON, and this is when I got resistance, and me and the lady that represents Maine here for MUFON, we went at it a little bit, and that was the photograph that looks, they say is a motorcycle, and I disagree. My friends in the UK seems to think it's interdimensional vehicle. Now, that being said, MUFON, I had it out with MUFON a little bit. She was saying that's a motorcycle, and I'm going to tell headquarters down in California not to,
Mm-hmm.
reply back to my submittings. And sure enough, to this day, with my last report to MUFON with the cigar-shaped craft, they never replied back. Now, I have personally called headquarters in California and asked them to look into it, but nothing has been said ever since. So I just let it go. What else can I do, right?
So was that Christmas event the next major one after the first one with the orbs?
The orbs. No, the orbs was, yeah, that was after, I believe. I have to look. Like I said, I've had so many events.
Right.
The orbs were in April, if I recall, right? I don't know if you at that.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the page
Yeah, I'm
now.
trying to, actually, I'm about to pull it up. I think I've got it here. Just was having some problem with the video.
Photos
initially.
dated January 18th, or yeah, August 6, 2011.
I've got one. I got some orbs
Yeah,
here from
August
April.
6, 2011 was the very first one. That
Okay.
was the orb that flew over our head. Yeah, it's funny you said that. That's my first report to MUFON. And she had said, this is when I knew things was a little strange, because she started the conversation, in a real polite manner. Yeah, there's been many sightings in Turner Leeds and Green, but we think that we're not really sure what that is. That could be a telephone light, a telephone pole light, or something of that nature. And I said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but there's no telephone poles with lights in Green, Maine. And I said, my buddy has a video of it, and my picture came out better than the video.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else posted a picture. I noticed a character named Wilbur Allen has posted a picture, and it looks like there's almost something in the sky for size comparison, like maybe a star or Venus or something behind this orb.
Behind this orb?
Yeah, like it's a big clear picture of the orb, and then you can see something in the sky sort of behind it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I follow his work. He has very interesting photographs. I like what he puts out there. But this orb was like maybe 2,000 feet above, if less.
Right.
Than
How
that.
big do you think it was? If you had to take a wild guess, how big do you think it was dimension-wise?
I'll tell you what, this was so bright, and I mean bright. My buddy couldn't even penetrate it like my photograph did. He tried, and he had a better camera than I did. That photograph was taken with an 8-megapixel Kodak, easy share Kodak back then. But it was huge. It was, but it was so bright. That was the amazing thing. It was just bright, and it was just a constant light.
It didn't
slowly
pulsate
going
or
up.
anything?
Did not pulsate. It was going from west to east. It was about 4:47 a.m. in the morning.
All right.
It was amazing. It was truly amazing. Also, with these orbs, and another interesting thing to take note of, on our adventures and our encounters over the years, there were times, and me and my friend were just reminiscing about this, there were times that our energy was drained. Either my friend, our energy was so drained we would be in bed for a few days, and I shit you not. If he didn't experience, I did. And we were in a sleep mode where we were so tired we couldn't get out of bed. And then I experienced the opposite with the cigar-shaped craft.
Mm-hmm.
I was up for the vibration, my vibration or whatever, my energy was max. I was up for 2 to 3 days. And towards the third day, I tried to drink just to go into a drinking mode so I could get some rest. Really, I don't know what that's all about.
I do.
But I truly don't have all the answers. But it was like a vibrational state. We felt energy, but yet there were times where we lost energy.
That's interesting. And he said it was a draining effect with the orbs and a like a stimulating effect with the cigar shape.
When we were playing around with the orbs, we got photographs of orbs with a beautiful picture of the moon that night on April 20th, I believe, 2016. We were drained. Maybe the spirit world, whatever we were, associating ourselves with our entity, it drained us. It did.
Well, no, we were talking last week. We did that show on, on the implants, and we'd been wondering if, it's possible if, how you said you were feeling drained, if they have sufficiently advanced tech, who's to say they didn't hit you with some kind of implant or, give you a little surprise to take home and you wouldn't even know it.
You bring up a very interesting point there. You bring up a very interesting point.
And we discovered something called astral implants and entity
Yeah,
attachments.
etheric implants.
Now, there's an event. Like I said, there's so many events where I grew up in Turner. In 1977.
Is that the Men in Black thing?
No, this is an experience when I was a kid growing up in Turner.
Yeah, well, let's hear it.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I am an interesting individual. You're about to find out. I've had an interesting journey in life. I am no angel. Me and my brother were explorers. We worked on the farms, anyways, we were kids growing up, and how do I want to say? We wouldn't get into trouble, but our next door neighbor was a used car salesman at the time, and he left the keys in the car, and we were 10 and 11, and we wanted to borrow him and take him for a ride, and we'd park him back. Well, when we went to go park him back, our neighbor came home from camp, and we knew our ass was grass, so we kept going. So long story short, we camped out in Turner for a whole week, being 11 and 10. We had the National Guards and the state police airplanes in the air in Turner, Maine, looking for us. There is missing time. I have, ever since I've been in contact with whatever you want to call it out here in Turner, Maine, I'm getting memories back, and there's missing time when I was 11 years old. Like I said, we were on the run for a whole week in Turner before we got caught. I went to the Maine Youth Center, and we all make choices in life, and that was part of the learning process.
Yeah, you're gonna have that.
Yeah. Did you ever think about trying to get some memory regression for that?
I did. It's funny you said that. I asked my primary doctor that, and he said no way. So
What?
I don't have the money to. I don't have the money to do this.
Yeah, it sounds kind of expensive.
Well, you never know. We might have, if you connect with some of the other individuals that have been part of our show, you might find somebody who's willing to point you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Energy flows where it's needed to, right?
It does, and like I said, let my research be a help to others. I want to be a service to others. We have no agenda. My friend and I do not belong to any government agency. I've never been in the military, although I do thank the men and women of the armed air forces and our veterans. Maybe this is a good time for this to be all happening. The universe has its timing with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to reach out to a lot of these professionals in the past. I wanted to know what was going on. I really did. And maybe there was a reason why it didn't happen. I don't know. But they can't say I didn't try. I did try to get a hold of Stephen Greer. I wanted to know what I was going through, what I was experiencing. So I did try to get a hold of a few of these experts, but it never happened.
Well, Don, I've managed to get this 2012 video, or not 2012, the Christmas 2015 video. So would you want to walk through that one more time while I play the video for everybody?
Sure.
Because I have no audio, though, so.
You have no audio?
Not on the video, unfortunately.
Okay.
So, essentially, you guys can see it up there. So how did you, what, these lights, now obviously this is what we're talking about, this pattern of lights that kind of seems to come and go. Is that?
Yes.
All right, so, were you just driving on the road and saw that, or you guys were out actively?
Christmas Day, we were out in Turner. It was a beautiful day. It was 65 degrees, Christmas Day. We started our adventure around, I would say, 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Took a few photographs. We could feel the energy. We were ready to pack it up. Something told me to go down Lower Street, and I did. I go with my instincts now.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. My camera was on charge. We're lucky we even have this footage right now, because right after that craft goes by, my camera dies. This is how synchronicity works, I guess. But yeah, that was the last video footage I got. Those lights on the ground, I knew right away. It's like you're in a. Actually, the best person that explains it in an altered state of mind is Richard Miller. I don't know if you're familiar with his work. I posted a video recently, but Alan Richard Miller definitely holds a lot of the keys to what I'm actually need answers to. But yeah, anyways, as you see the lights on the ground, I knew right away that those weren't Christmas lights.
Yeah, they don't look like Christmas lights at all.
No, and so in that footage, you'd hear me say to my friend, "How come your camera's not picking this up?"
Yeah.
He had a better camera than I did. He had a Sony, if I recall right, HD. But long story short, as we're going on, it was like I was in an altered state. I'm channeling. I mentioned something about these lights are for their craft, and sure enough, as the footage goes on, my friend, we were talking about. I was getting that feeling again, and as soon as I said that, he said something to the effect. I haven't listened to it in a while, but he said something to the effect of, "I don't like it when you get that feeling, Don." Sure enough, I hear him say, "Don, there's a craft coming," and I was making sure I had my camera steady, and there you have it. I'll tell you one thing, it's something else. I don't know what you guys make of it, but it was definitely interesting footage.
Yeah, it's the cigar-shaped craft stuff that, definitely gets my opinion, because we've known from talking to other people about some, like, the solar warden ships, those are cigar-shaped. So it's, the kind of picture we're trying to put together here on Reality Brief, it's always kind of interesting when all these elements of the story coming from different people and they all come together.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's funny you tie in the Christmas with the cigar-shaped craft, because that was another incident where we were about ready to pack it up, and I said, well, something's telling me to make this one last stop. My friend stayed in the car. It was like they were telling me, set up your camera now and get it rolling, and boom. Now, after that cigar-shaped craft, we went on to go visit his aunt, but I kept saying to my friend, we've got some amazing footage here, and we haven't even looked at it. I didn't even know I had a cigar-shaped craft, but they were telling me we do have something. So it wasn't until later that evening when I discovered, wow. And there again, I almost missed it. These craft go by so fast. There's only 5 frames of that cigar-shaped craft.
Mm-hmm.
Some estimate, your average camera's taking 25 to 30 frames per second. I only have 5 frames. I'm not a mathematician, but if I'd have to guess, that was cooking pretty fast.
Yeah. I'm
and
working
there's
on
somebody else just recently that got something similar of a cigar-shaped craft this past week or so that I did review. It looks similar to mine.
Okay, so I got the video up, or the stills of the cigar. I'm assuming that's what this one is. So how did this situation come about? How did you catch this? Were you actively out just like looking for UFOs? I mean...
Yes, we were. Actually, it's funny you said that. That was another day. The cigar-shaped craft, I had 2 sightings that day. One at 10 a.m. I'm not sure if I posted up those pictures or if those are on my YouTube wall or...
I think I got this off of your Facebook, the Turner Leeds Facebook page. Mm-hmm. It's just a video of the stills.
Well, on that September 30th, we had 2 sightings. One at 10 a.m. My friend and I, we went out adventuring to Turner, and then we had to come back into town for an errand for my friend, and then we went back out there at around 2 p.m. in Turner, and that's when we got the cigar-shaped craft as well. So I had 2 sightings on September 30th.
Now, do you have a way of detecting when they're going to appear? Or, some people talk about being able to consciously interact with them, kind of like telepathically. Like the whole Greer thing in the desert.
Yeah, it's all secret in the city now. I believe that Ingo Swann was onto something.
But you don't have any experience with that.
I do, but I'm still in the learning process too here. I don't have all
Still
the
trying to figure out what's going on, just like the rest of us.
Right. I can tell you that it's like a calling. It is. I go out there when I don't plan these adventures no more. I call up my friend. Sometimes I have a 12-hour notice, sometimes a 24, but no more than that. I don't even like to use the cell phone. I don't even like devices when I go out there.
Right.
There was an incident that happened right after we had the Shadow Man footage.
Yeah, actually, I just pulled that up. Do you want to tell us about the Shadow Man?
Yeah, because that's when things really ranched up. I actually went into a depression mode shortly after that. Because when you have these experiences and you can't find the answers, and you're searching, I can only tell you what I've experienced. You know, we're today's society. Everybody's been downplaying all of this, and so when you're searching for answers and they're not there, you know, you can get into a depression mode.
Mm-hmm.
I fought it and got out of it, things from friends and family. But yeah, this Shadow Man footage. Now, 2 weeks after this footage was taken, now we were told to leave that day. Yeah, right,
by
shortly
who?
after, by these entities.
Okay.
That you see right now. I did not see these. I could feel the energy. I believe my friend was getting too close. Now, you see the Shadow Man, but to the left, there's this little guy here that I believe is a gray. My friend's just going everywhere with the camera, and in one spot, and it's not in this footage because she only did a 10-second piece or whatever this is, but in one spot, there's electromagnetic interference. And he was getting real close. Anyways, I was told to leave. We need to leave now. I told Dustin, we've got to go. That was the message.
So did you hear that as a voice?
Come back. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did you hear that as a voice, or was it like an empathic thing?
I don't recall, I'm being honest, but I go on my instincts. I was told to leave. And come back at another time.
So
I believe there were two entities that day. You have the Shadow Man running in the background, and over here, which I do have a clearer picture I could send another time, I believe is a gray. He's translucent. And another thing about this footage, the whole thing, is the things in the trees. They're like these little round balls. So there's a lot of interesting things in the full footage. But yeah, I was told to leave and come back another day. And when we did, 2 weeks later, I know I have not submitted this. I have some footage with a bone in a tree.
Really?
Yes.
In the same area?
Yes. Yes, right down below the hill. 2 weeks after this footage was taken. It was in July, I believe, July 14th. It's on my YouTube wall. I could unlock it so you guys could play it, but we could go there another day. Like I said, there's too many events to go over.
Now this
but
bone.
Yeah, we found a bone in a tree. We found a bone in a tree. We got documentation of that.
Some
and
Blair Witch
that's
action right there.
the day when the PI investigator had rolled up on us. That was a day. That was another interesting day. My friend, because like I said, when we go on these journeys, I have my cell phone off and probably even pull the battery out as well. With these new phones, you can't, but back then you could. And so anyway, long story short, my buddy turns his phone on. The minute he turned his phone on, I've got an intuitive feeling. I could hear the car racing up from Lower Street up to Upper Street to where we were at. I told my friend, I want this bad boy. Sure enough, he pulls a Yui. And I'm I'm not sure if you have that footage or not. It is on my YouTube wall. I say PI guy on it. I had to cut some of that footage out.
Unfortunately.
I had to cut some of that out because I didn't want to post his face in the video.
Right.
But we have the full video where I say I want this bad boy.
Do you have a shortcut for your YouTube channel that you can give out for people that are listening and may be interested?
I can. It's Doyon. I can post the link too.
It's easy enough. Yeah. Feel free to post it in our group if you're. I'm not sure if you're a member of that. It's on Facebook. It's called Reality Brief: Exopolitics and Conspiracy.
I'll go ahead and invite you if you're not already in there.
Yeah. So those of you listening,
I have to unlock that because a lot of I didn't want to scare a lot of people because we had so much different footage, and I
Right.
still know a lot of people in Turner, and I have to be respectful of everybody out there, and and friends. Don't want to scare the bejeebies out of nobody neither. Because these guys, if they wanted to hurt us, you can bet they had every chance. They could have a long time ago.
Well, going back to you said you saw two distinct entities. It was a shadowy figure, and what you suspect to be a gray. What do you speculate the relationship is between the two? Like, what were they doing out there together? I mean, I know no one has all the answers. I mean, what do you think, though?
I believe what Rosemary. I have a hard time with pronouncing some of these names, so please forgive me.
That's okay.
Rosemary. She writes a lot of books. I'm trying to. Is it Guller or? She's written a lot of books on the shadow entities and how she even states in one of her videos that they were notorious for hanging out with the Greys. D-Gen, I might not be pronouncing it right, the Gen. I guess
the genies?
Yes.
DJINN. For those of us in our audience who aren't familiar with them, they're a group of spirits that originate out of Persian mythology and magic. They're supposed to be fire spirits that inhabit deserts and forgotten places. And they're known in popular cultures as, like the genie in the lamp. But they actually are a particular breed of spirit. Apparently, they are also related to the spirits found in the Geisha and the Key of Solomon. Fun fact.
There you go. Now you're saying it, because it's just I have so much experience and so much other things that I have to rely on all the other people that have done their research.
Nobody knows it all. That is for certain.
Yeah, there's too many, and I don't think it was meant to be for everybody to know it neither. Everybody has a piece of this puzzle to bring to the table, no doubt.
I mean, we do our best here trying to bring it all together, but, it's a very, very large picture.
It is.
With a lot of unknown pieces.
The best we can do is try to give people a platform, and, I think a lot of this, it's up to our listeners really to decide what they don't accept as part of their reality. But, we're definitely here to give the access.
And you're right. Everybody has a different perspective, because I can tell you this. There were times I asked my friend, did you feel this energy? Like I did, and he said no. So we're all at our own stage in this, in a different perspective. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I mean everyone. Everyone has got. They interpret things, their own way. Some people are quick to just believe whatever, and others are more questioning about everything. And
I question myself to this day. I really do, because when you think you have the answer, they throw in another piece or another wrench to turn it all upside down again. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one that I couldn't imagine has the whole complete picture.
Except maybe DARPA.
Not flesh and blood, anyway. Not even DARPA.
Right.
Not even DARPA. But yeah, we're digressing here. I got this picture loaded up here. I'm going to go transfer it over. I believe it's your partner. He's standing on a rock, and you've got two spots highlighted there and some negatives of it.
Yes, that's recent. That is from May 18th.
Can you tell us the story about this one?
We decided to go out it was a beautiful day. It was like 90 plus degrees out. So we decided to go out. Last year at the same time in May 12th, we had a sighting at this very same place. I believe you have one of those pictures as well. But something tells me to, I said, Dustin, I want a picture of you right here standing on this rock.
It almost looks like
It?
a turtle-shaped craft of some sort. Like, the shape of it,
Well,
just looking at it makes me think of a turtle.
I don't see the turtle, but what I'm really amazed at is the three lights in the center. That is where I'm
Right.
like,
It almost looks could be windows.
Or a docking bay of some sort.
Yeah.
Right, but the negative is showing like some sort of engine propulsion or something there, because there's three lights.
Right.
Well, what if that's just part of the ship? What if it's a much bigger craft and it's cloaked?
Yeah, that's very well. You're right. You could look at it so many ways.
I mean,
Is
it
a
almost could look
drone?
like. I'm sorry.
Is it a drone? Somebody brought that up as a good point. I feel it's not, but
To play devil's advocate here too. I mean, it almost could be an insect.
could,
Motion
so
blur.
though, with those three lights, I would go with that theory too. But those three lights in the center, or those,
Yeah, the three dots are definitely pretty
that's
interesting.
That's what made me go, okay, there's something more to this than meets the eye.
I mean, it almost resembles a little bit like maybe it's part of it coming through some type of portal or something. Like those two, what could be insect wings, maybe is like a rift type of
Now,
thing.
you bring up another interesting point with the portals or vortex. There's documentation of a Turner triangle. What I'm about to say is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you followed any of the remote viewers from the past, like Pat Price.
I know about Edgar Casey.
Well, that was a little bit different.
You had Edgar Casey, but the ones that were involved in the remote viewing program with Ingo Swann,
Mhm.
Pat Price was his name. He passed away in 1975 after he went on with the CIA shortly after this. But he had discovered at least 3 alien bases here on Earth. Okay, one of them was in Alaska, and I forgot where the others were. I think Antarctica, and one more. Well, I suspect there's more than one. Now, what if that strange crane that we got in West Paris is a base, like the Nordics? I have a picture and I've never really posted it online. I could swear it looks like a big, giant tall white, sitting on this craft over there. And I'm going, wow, what if that is a base that is, from another entity?
Right.
Because I highly suspect that's why I see the drones landing right after that crane. How do we know that we're not observing them? And I'm throwing this as a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do I know this ain't one of the bases that Pat Price uncovered? Because there's documentation of the Turner Triangle, at least dating back to 1986, that I found in a museum here in Portland, Maine.
So why don't
That's
you
when I started. Say that again.
why don't you expand a little bit on the Turner Triangle? It's pretty interesting. Let our audience know what that's all about.
I didn't discover that. Even though I grew up in Turner, I did not discover this Turner Triangle until I went to the museum here in Portland, Maine. That's when I saw the newspaper clipping from 1986. I had just got out of high school, and it talked about the Turner Triangle. Now, I sent you some newspaper clippings, And that's from another. All those newspaper clippings are from a friend of mine I went to school with in Turner, and he happened to keep it all. So one night I was able to take pictures of all the articles he had kept over the years. But yeah, there's been a lot of strange activity dating back a few years here in Turner.
So it's like a swampland, right? Am I correct with that?
Swampland?
Yeah, is it swampy out there?
I guess there might be areas. There's a river, and there are areas of a swamp, gullies. There's all kinds of interesting things out here in Turner.
Yeah, what about Bigfoot sightings? Is that where they're taking place at?
That has been said too. That's what actually compelled us to share what we have. That's where we're at today.
Right.
Because if it wasn't for that airing on TV, and when I heard the kid was getting bullied at school, that was when I started sharing with what I knew. I was going to protect, or at least show evidence that there are some strange anomalies occurring here in Turner. Please be respectful to others who may experience.
What happened there? Give us the story on that. The kid was bullied for a Bigfoot sighting?
Yes, he had a Bigfoot sighting. He was telling his friends, and from what I hear, or what's in what was on the local news, they said that the teachers and his friends were bullying him. And so that's when he decided to change his story so he could stop being picked on.
Right.
School. And that's when we decided, my friend and I, or I did, I should say, I can't speak for my friend, because we were keeping the secret. We're even lucky to be alive, and I really mean that. And at the start of all this, I was burning the candle at both ends.
Oh, we know a lot about that.
Yeah.
Back from 2011 till about 2013, working and trying. We wanted to know what was going on out there in Turner. So every time we had a chance on the weekends, or the weather providing to, we would go out and explore. And that's where we are today. It's very interesting. I do recommend it. I think everybody should, if they choose to, should experience this. I find it remarkable. I really do.
About how common would you say a sighting is out there?
How common?
Like,
that's why I slowed down. That's why I was hoping that there would be other people to share some sightings out there, because I believe there's a lot of people out there that don't dare to.
Right.
Well, like, there have been, here in Hampton Roads, there have been a couple of, multiple TR-3B sightings reported just this last year. We're down, on the eastern part of the state, pretty much right near Virginia Beach. And
What kind of sightings?
TR-3Bs.
That would be the triangular shaped black craft.
Yeah, the big black triangles
Really?
that have the three dots on, the three lights on each apex of the triangle, and then the one big dot in the middle. I myself have seen one of those over Newport News firsthand.
Interesting. Now, what's your take on that, government?
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that seems to be. I mean, we're surrounded by pretty much the military-industrial complex here. We've got shipyard facilities everywhere, NASA Langley.
Naval weapon stations.
We're surrounded by 16 military bases.
Camp Perry, and nobody's even allowed to know what's on Camp Perry.
Just that, and then coupled with most of the stories about these black triangular-shaped crafts being, involved with the government in some way. I believe that it's probably government. It's us, black ops from us.
Yeah, probably alien reproduction vehicles.
Could be ARVs, could be something to do with the secret space program.
And that's what I think I captured here at the Christmas footage. To see, and that's my belief, and I could be wrong. Or it's visitors from from other planets. But I do want to say this. I did record my interview with the MUFON investigator who turned out to also work for the Navy. Now, I'm still holding on to the original interview. Maybe down the road I can release that, of the phone call interview I had from the Christmas sighting. I know that if I put that online, people will find it interesting.
Yeah, no doubt.
They were wanting to know what kind of camera I was using. That was the main focus, because
That's interesting.
I would say the Olympus, and then I would go on another subject, and then say the full model that I was. So he kept going. He kept deviating back to, okay, what's the model and make of that camera?
Right. No, well, they probably want to look for flaring effects and stuff that are associated with that type of camera.
And I do need to state this for the record now that we're on this subject real fast, and this is why MUFON. I took the sound, when I submitted that video, I took the sound out of it, because I felt that what I was saying to me and my friend at that moment was private.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I felt at that time. I have no rhyme or reason. I just wanted to protect us, because you can feel my energy. I'm like in an altered state.
Well, given the state of the world, it makes sense to
I
want to
knew
protect
right
your
away,
sources.
I knew right away that those weren't Christmas lights. The feelings I was getting right before the craft came into view, I was holding that back. He did, as you all heard, I waited a year because they were not replying back to that video that I submitted back at Christmas. I would email him and never get a reply back, so I kept his phone number, and I waited up until this past December to call him, and I posted it online. But
I think what tipped me off to MUFON having something wrong going there is about a year and a half ago I was investigating a UFO sighting in this area. And when I was digging through the MUFON database, I found something not quite like what was described to me, but someone claiming to have been abducted over a period of years, like a lot of different reports, all from the same area that would happen to be the area of the UFO sighting I was investigating. So at that time, I wasn't able to get the address of where they saw it at. So I kind of put it to the side, let it go for about a year. I went back to MUFON, and all those reports that I'd seen about the abductions had been taken out. They're gone. You can't get to them no more. And now you can't even access the MUFON database. If you go to their page and you click on the database, it won't let you in. You have to trick it. You have to go in. You have to do the search for the previous 20 and then go in a couple pages and then search it that way. And there's so much stuff missing now.
Or you have to pay for a membership.
now, there are a lot of good folks, as we all know, and I'm sure you guys have watched some of the MUFON videos from L.A. and California. There's a lot of good men and women who work for MUFON. I am in touch with the person that interviewed me here in Maine. I have all respect for him. I did cross the line by recording the phone conversation, but it was the only way I could get to the truth. I did not break any laws. Here in Maine, we have a one-party law. Each state has their own laws when it comes to recording phone conversations, so please don't do something without inquiring your state laws. But I did not want to have to do that. That was against my own morals, but I felt I needed an answer, and so I might have overstepped my boundaries a little bit, and I didn't mean to. And I have all respect for the men and women who are in the service. He happens to work for the service of the Navy, and I just want to throw that out there. he's a good guy. He's thinking about leaving MUFON. He doesn't like the chain of command. And
Right, I
we'll
mean,
leave it like that. We'll leave it like that.
You know,
I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He asked me to take it down, believe it or not.
he, I mean, it only takes a few people to spoil it. You know what I mean? It's not saying that all of MUFON is corrupted or anything, but there's definitely something fishy going on there.
They've got orders. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The headquarters is in California. I talked to this lady down there, I don't know, back in October. And, you know, they all have orders. And so they're just, and like you hear him saying that audio phone conversation, you know, he sent it up the chain of command. And that's about it, you know. He did his job. And
here on our show, we sort of have a philosophy that, you know, the truth is found written on bathroom stalls and subway walls. So that's why I like the fact that there's all these groups on Facebook, you know, a decentralized sort of MUFON that's out there on the internet of chapters for particular areas. There'll be like a MUFON Sedona, MUFON Montana, MUFON Arkansas, wherever. And then there's all these little groups that are spread about. And it's decentralized, so there isn't one central authority that can come down and kind of squelch what gets posted and what doesn't. The flip side of that is that you got to check like 50 pages. But the upside is that since it's so decentralized, you know, you're going to get access to a lot of different reports from a lot of different places.
you're right. And these are volunteers, too. You know,
Yeah.
these men and women that are investigators for MUFON, they're volunteers.
Nobody gets paid to do this stuff besides, you know, the guy from Ancient Aliens, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're right there, and that was one thing that me and my friend, you know, we're not going to monetize, or I have a hard time pronouncing it, but, you know, make money on this.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing this as a service to others and confirming other people that past and present who have been in this a lot longer than I have. And,
well, Don, we got to take a quick break. It's probably going to be around 8 minutes. If you want to stick on the line, and when we get back, we can maybe open up the phones and go into some more stories.
Sure.
All right, man.
I'll be right there. I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on and being a part of Reality Brief. And, you know, thanks for bringing so much to the show.
I hope your listeners will also help you out, too. One hand feeds another in this world. I hope that you'll get some sponsors there with your radio show. You guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. It's it's been a hard road, man. We've been doing this for a while with these guys now, and you know, emotions are high, and we're just gonna have to see what happens.
Right, and I like the topics that you guys bring up, because everything, DARPA from mind control to you name it, there's so much at play here.
All right, Don. Well, we'll be back in right a bit.
All right, sounds good.
We were wrong. Saturn, virgin mother of virtue. Villainous animals will seek out and hurt you, distort you and twist you and misrepresent you. Your elegant innocence has transformed you into a definite target of manipulations, angry ravagings that blunder your purity, spoil your seed, shadow you under scrutiny, or hide you entirely from consensus reality. Veritas, one and only. Veritas, our own. Veritas. Seeking her endlessly, she's ever elusive. Further and further now, your source gets diluted, and the well is always deeper. How deep can you dive? How deep is your need to stare the truth in the eye? The truth is that you hide from her. You are vulnerable as you lied to yourself.
Hello?
Sorry, we're back.
We're back.
Welcome to the second half. We're back with Doyon. Doyon? Is that how you say it?
Doyon.
On Radio F Radio, and I guess we're gonna dive right back into it. You guys, if you got a question you want to call up and ask Don, the number is 757-525-3276.
Again, that's 757-525-3276. Go ahead and call in. Give us a call and let us know what you think about your own theories on what mysterious things in the sky are, or whatever else you guys want to talk about. Again, that's 757-525-3276.
So, when we left off, let's see, where were we? We were talking about the black triangles, right?
Yes, the TR-3Bs
Mm-hmm.
you say you were witnessing or you were investigating?
Yeah,
MUFON?
yeah, we'll move on. So did you have anything else to add to move on before we move on?
Not at this time. Like I said, I have the utmost respect for the men and women who represent them.
Well, we do have...
Hello, caller.
Hello, caller.
Hey, can you hear me?
Sure can. What's on your mind tonight?
Corey Good.
What
Know
about
that
him?
guy?
Yeah, I know that
Oh,
guy.
yeah, we know all about Corey.
What's on your mind?
Yes.
You think he's full of shit?
I don't know.
I'm not going to get into Corey Good. Only Corey. I do know that there is memory wipes, and I think dark journalism brings up some very good points as far as a lie detector test, because I'll be willing to take one any day of the week. As far as Corey Good, I believe is spiritual. I've listened to Corey Good. I like what he says about the spiritual journey because it definitely is a spiritual journey. Now, as far as confirming what he says, I think I'm on the fence. And I'll leave it like that. I don't want to get into that argument. Only Corey Good knows.
And he may not even know, I think, is the point. You go through so much mind spaghettifying. If you take his story to be true, he's already admitted to being through so much mind manipulation. There's no telling what memories are valid and what are programmed.
Yeah, we've discussed on the show a few times how they have the capability of creating entirely fake memories and implanting it with them. So,
And that's public, like being released now to the public. Like, so knowing what you know about DARPA being so far ahead and advanced, I mean, there's no telling what is true and what is not coming out of the secret space program narratives, no matter who it is.
And who's that
Well, what
other
about the
person
fact that
works-
he's been doing this for 3 years and hasn't given us any evidence?
I mean, can you think of a single secret space program whistleblower who has presented evidence besides maybe Tompkins?
No, but I can think of whistleblowers who are fleeing for their lives and dead or in prison that have actually posed a threat to governments and people in power.
Right?
oh yeah,
But Corey Good, he's free to walk the streets.
Yeah, I mean, it is something to think on, but again, it could be anything behind that. It could be, he may not even know what is actually happening. You understand what I mean? Like, he may be involved with something he doesn't even really understand, like, what is actually going on. He thinks it's one thing. He's getting carried away by this one and interrogated and bringing to Antarctica, but it's not really.
huh?
I mean, there's no way for any of us to
we
know.
Might be too, huh?
So,
I think a good case would be Bob Lazar. He mentioned something about, if I recall right, not remembering something after leaving that, and I could be wrong, I'm paraphrasing, but I thought there was something brought up to that nature where he couldn't remember, or he was concerned about something of that nature.
well, thanks for calling, guy.
And,
We do have another
Richard Allen
caller.
Miller.
Okay.
Richard Allen Miller
Thanks, guys.
talks about.
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air with Reality Brief and Don Doyon.
What's your name?
Turn your
caller?
turn your radio down, please.
Turn the radio down, please.
Yeah, do that. Can you do that?
Yeah, we've done that. Thank you.
Thank you. So what's on your mind tonight, caller? You got a question for Don? And I want to say,
He was talking about the memory wipes and everything, right?
mm-hmm.
So is the government involved with that, or is that just part of the secret society that no one knows about?
Well, the government's involved with the secret space program, so the mind wipes are definitely
Right.
a common thing that happens to people who are secret space program survivors or people that have been involved with other black ops that the government's a part of too.
So, caller, are you?
So we're saying the aliens are part of the government as well?
That
There's
there's some
Are they
collusion.
hidden within the government?
Some people
Yes.
say that, yes.
I believe there's a good chance that they are working with some of these entities are working with them. Yeah.
I mean, we've already made like connections to aliens, and now they're in the government, and they can do anything they want. Hell, they can throw you into a cube, hypercube, or out into space, and you would never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good point, sir.
Well, thanks for
And-
calling.
Yeah.
And being as you know they're
thank
working
you
with the
very much.
government, there's no limit to the treachery that they'll go to.
Yeah, that is true. But since we got that memory wise, man, we can't remember a whole lot of nothing. So y'all have a good one.
You too, buddy. So I just want to say, if anybody else wants to call in, please just try to keep it to questions for Don or subjects related to what we're talking about tonight. Thanks, guys, for calling. We love you here at Reality Brief. Okay, so where were we, Don, before we got interrupted? I apologize for that. We don't have a screen or anything.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, off-topic calls happen a lot.
As far as the memory rights, I can only go on what others say or whistleblowers that sign these, secret disclosures that you're not to talk about when you get involved in that. And so we can only relay what others have said in the past, I guess, right?
Right. And a lot of
I
these...
haven't experienced that myself.
But you yourself
not
did say you'd
affiliated.
experienced missing time, though, right?
I did, and that's when I was a child at 11 years old with the incident of borrowing my neighbor's car, and we were on the run for a week, yes, in Turner. Actually below the hill from where that Shadow Man footage was taken. We lived on the next street over from where that activity was taking place on Pearl Street. We grew up on Bryant Road. I don't know if I gave you that video of a 1975 footage of me getting on the bus with my brother and my neighbors.
I'm not sure if I got that. I've been stretched
It's
out
on my
thin.
Facebook wall, but it shows that I grew up in. It's an old 1975 video clip of growing up in Turner. We were catching I believe it was the first day of school.
Well, hopefully the next time you come on, we'll have our video machine working correctly, and we'll be able to
Yeah, it'd be pretty
pull
nice.
up all your videos and pictures a lot easier than tonight.
Well, I would have Skyped tonight, but I didn't. I wanted to get this on good audio,
Right.
and you know how Skype can flake out sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we've had that happen a few times.
Absolutely, and it's probably good that you didn't Skype because our video and audio have latency right now. So till that gets worked out, we won't be doing any of that. Oh,
Now, as far as if you want to go touch on what's going on out there in West Paris, Maine, we had a few interesting adventures out there. A lot of the stuff was done when I had my motorcycle, so I was able to, slowly sneak in on my motorcycle on some of those footages from West Paris, Maine. But long story short, and we would go out there, make our presence, and take this footage, and then we would back away for months at a time and go back out to that spot. But there was one particular night we went out there, and it was about maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. Now, I don't know if I posted the link. I mean, I really don't want to put this on the map. I did in a couple places there a month or so ago. But long story short, we were observing one night, me and my friend. I had just got my car, and I thought it would be a good opportunity. I didn't register. I still had the person's plates to the car. I exchanged my motorcycle for a car. I traded a car for my motorcycle. But long story short,
Sounds like
I
a worthy
still had
trade.
his plate. I still had his plate, so we observed this white truck approaching. We could see people in the field. Now, this is where I think the government, because we saw a drone come in for a landing over there, and this person with a white truck approached us. We did not stay long. He took off into a trail that led into the woods. And another incident that happened at that very same spot, this was last year, I'm going to say around October. We were filming the crane, and it happened to be a full moon. Lord and behold, a cop had rolled up on us and asking what we were doing, and we told him we were taking video footage of the moon. And it just so happened the moon was right over the crane. Now, I'm really good at reading body language. This cop wanted us to move on. He was very nervous. He was even asking how long we were going to be there for. And I said, about another 20 minutes. He said, well, could you please move on to Streakin' Mountain? I feel there was something about ready to come in for a landing. Can't prove it. So we moved on, and we came back the following morning, and that's where you see the daytime footage that we happened to get. I believe it was February of 2016, if I recall right. But yeah, so we've had some interesting encounters. Also July 4th and into the 5th, when we were out there in West Paris, someone told me we've always got nighttime footage. Well, we were going to stay until sunrise so we could get better footage, and it's on my YouTube channel, but from 2013. But we were followed out by 2 white cars that morning on July 5th. Same make and model. One went past me and went in front of my car, and one stayed behind me.
Can you recall the plates?
Me.
What type of plates
They
were
were
on?
mass plates. They were mass plates.
Just
Now,
regular?
if they would have been Maine plates, my brother's a private investigator, I would have ran them. We cannot run out-of-state plates. But there were mass plates.
Did they look like
2
normal
white cars,
normal pedestrian
2
plates?
white cars. I'm sorry, 2 white cars, same make and model.
You know what type was it like? Were they Chevys, Toyotas?
Yeah, they were probably Chevys. Yes, Chevys or what is it? The Ford Taurus? No, not the Ford. It was a
The Explorer.
They were big cars.
Ford Explorers, Chevy 1500 Silverado.
There were two mid-size white cars.
Oh, they were
with
cars?
Massachusetts plates. Yes.
So did you have any interaction with them?
No, we did not, except for the cop. When I'm told to leave, I leave, and when I get those instinct feelings, I was already told I was going to be followed out. These guys, like, I don't know, I get these messages. It's hard to explain. I go on intuitive feelings, and I don't have all the answers. I truly don't.
Yeah,
I would like to speak to some of these professionals. I believe that the people in the remote viewing group know. I believe Major Ed Dames knows. A few others that are affiliated. I do want to touch on a subject that might shed some light.
Sure, go ahead. We got about 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left.
Yep.
All
So
right. I'm going to touch on a controversial subject, but I'm all truth here. There's something to be said about some of these controlled substances, and there's documentation. 60 Minutes did a segment on it, and it's about Adderall. It's about a stimulant. Now, I did experiment with some of this. I believe it helped me. It helped me focus. It helped me get in tune with these vibrations and frequencies. I believe I've always had this ability, but it gave me an enhancement. I don't need that no more now, but I believe it was part of a learning process. And if you listen to Richard Allen Miller, he mentions that. I believe there's natural ways you can do it. But anyway, long story short, 60 Minutes did an episode on how it's an unfair advantage to some of the college kids that experiment with Adderall or stimulant. And it gives an unfair advantage.
Like it's staying up late night studying.
They also give it to the fighter pilots that have to do a mission overseas.
Doesn't surprise me.
I'm going to leave it like that. It's all documented. I believe Richard Allen Miller talks about it.
Well,
I do believe there are natural or drugs or controlled substances that will help you achieve enhanced level.
It's almost like cheating, though. I mean,
That's my opinion.
You know,
What
I agree
works
with you.
For me won't work for everybody
Yeah.
else, right?
I agree with you, though. It's almost like cheating, though, because they say, you're supposed to be able to do that on your own through meditation and stuff. It's like, shortcut.
Well, you can, actually.
Eat some mushrooms. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Don, what's the single one, since we got about 3 minutes left, what is the single weirdest thing that you've ever seen in the sky? Or the single weirdest UFO thing that has ever come your way as part of your own personal experience? If there was one experience that stood out above everything else.
Well, there are drones in the air at night, and I will leave you with this. We can identify they're observing. I don't know. I suspect it's our technology. At night, you can they try to blend in with the stars, and if it's a little windy, you're going to see it self-correct itself. It goes like 3 to 5 feet, very, very small increments. And maybe I have an advantage because I've been in the printing field. I have an eye, but you can spot them. They're a little red solid, like to blend in with the stars, but they're low level. And like I said, if it's a little windy up there, you will see them do small increments at night. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But I believe the best one is the nighttime footage of the Christmas, and also 2011 of August 6th when it flew over our heads. I do believe that was a visitor from elsewhere. But that being said,
All right, Don. Well, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming on the show. We'd love to have you back in the future once we get all our issues straightened out here.
In the meantime, if there's anything you ever want to come on our group or our page and post, feel free, because we'd love to have the info.
And that's you can check his Facebook page out. It's Turner Leeds, Maine, Central Maine UFO.
Yeah, UFO Central, Maine, Turner Leeds, and Green area. And we've also shared a link to Mr. Doyon's page on our Facebook page as well. So feel free to stop on by facebook.com/realitybrief, and you will find a link.
And for our dedicated...
And anytime you want, and I want to thank you all for having me on your show tonight and sharing this information with the public.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough.
Anytime you want, it'll be a pleasure.
We'll definitely be in contact about that soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, Don.
All right.
Have a good night.
You guys have a good night, and thank you very much.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
So, that concludes this week's episode of Reality Brief. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. We'll be back next week. Same time, same channel. We'll be back. We'll be there. See you guys next week. Thanks for listening.